So, we're going to go back to the City Club, where, through sheer happenstance, Maya and Thomas have encountered each other, though they've not had direct contact. Maya has just seen a wiry-looking fellow, very pale, have 2 drinks spilled over him. And perhaps the desire to find out what the natural human reaction should be at this point: embarrassment, anger, humiliation, and what Maya should do, conciliation, laughter, mocking, buy him another drink. All these thought processes are probably going through the Promethean's head. But Maya, what is going on with your created?
So Maya doesn't really know what to do with embarrassment yet. It's not really a situation that she would have encountered much. What she would know of it is that the best thing to do is to try and just kind of pretend it didn't happen. So the best way she can do that in this case is to hurry over to this, wiry man and kind of, put herself between him and I guess the rest of the club, just as a barrier of sorts, and hey, that it's really tough. Let's go get you some more to drink, and kind of usher him away from the crowd and trouble brewing, and hopefully out of whatever bar brawl is about to happen. Apparently.
Sorry. Carry on.
No, I was about to say, Sebastian, the floor is yours, so we will actually have 2 characters interacting with each other.
So the initial response of having been knocked into by the old lady was almost having to pull myself together not to snap at her, because it's a very tense moment. Tense situation upstairs, or wherever the billiard room is. I was going to just leave her on the floor, just to try to pull myself together and just ignore the human woman altogether, but this actually seems like an almost very opportune moment to not hide something, but disguise something efficiently. So I will say yes to the drink and kind of look up to my packmate and kind of make an expression as though to say, lady driving, buying me a drink, kind of just, I guess, sort of make a gesture suggesting, look who I might be picking up, kind of situation, I guess. And I'll just say to her, thank you very much. Nice to meet you. My name is Thomas.
I would reply and say, it's very nice to meet you as well, Thomas. My name is Maya. And I would, try to make small talk like I've seen people do, and, well, do you come here often?
I enjoyed here. I work a lot. I work 2 jobs. I don't get much time as I'd like, but it's always nice to, in situations like that, to have somebody actually, I don't know, just be nice for a change. So
What is nice?
Being considerate, I guess. That's an interesting question.
There's a bark across the club. It's more of a bark than a shout of Garrett shouting, Thomas, I asked for a drink. Asked for a drink, Thomas. He's shouting. I'm not going to suck it off your tits, Thomas, and stop chatting up that girl, because I know she's not your type.
Great, okay. I'll say that's quietly, in hopes that even to a werewolf's ears, it's not going to carry all the way upstairs. I'm just going to say, it's a friend of mine you wouldn't want to meet. I say friend, but it's an acquaintance you would like to meet. So thanks anyway. This actually helped, and I order a second drink to go with the drink that she's bought me, and I carry it upstairs.
What's Maya doing? Has Maya now found a new object of fascination?
She has. Maya is insanely curious as to why this person who just told her he comes here, to find nice people and to hang out with people who are kind and considerate would have a friend who is very obviously not any of these things that he said nice is. So maybe that's what people need to be to get paid attention to. Obviously, the woman who had her attention was kind of mean, and Thomas's friend is kind of not so nice. So she's gonna go see what's up with that. So she's gonna follow them.
Okay, well, Thomas arrives back in the pool hall carrying his 2 drinks. Garrett snatches his away and drinks a hefty swig of it before slamming it down. And he's about to say something mocking.
Sure. I'm shocked.
But just as he does, he looks over Thomas's shoulder.
Thomas has not been paying attention to who's following, so he just sort of do the awkward turn of what are you looking at, kind of. Yeah.
Did you bring her for me?
I didn't bring anything. I mean, I brought the drinks, but no.
Yeah, I only asked for a drink. Thomas, my wife would kill me. Hello, he says, addressing Maya. Are you lost?
No, I know exactly where I am. I'm here to see why Thomas is friends with someone who's not very nice.
Oh, are you a friend of Thomas's?
Maybe. I think I'm nice, so maybe.
He looks at Thomas. Are you doing community outreach, Thomas? Are you helping simple folk with simple problems?
Out of character, I'm about to just biting down the urge to to a very stinging remark, but about simple folk. Anyway, but I just respond that I don't know who this person is. She might have had a few drinks too many. Just let's take this somewhere else.
No, I like her. Come, sit down. Sit down with us.
Maya is not going to sit down. Maya doesn't like this guy at all. So she's going to ignore him and, tell Thomas that it was very nice to meet him, that she's very sorry that he's friends with such people who are not so nice to him, and maybe he should find better friends next time. And she is going to go see if she can't find where her pretty lady friend went, because she is far more interested in that than this mean man who thinks people are drinks to be brought to him.
As you say, Thomas.
Yeah, I'll
Getting close. Nice and close.
Yeah.
Don't you think she smells a little funny? And I don't mean in a vulgar way.
Do I have to roll something particular to sense it? Now that he's mentioned it, do I?
Yeah, you could. I think that would be a good idea. Let's. Are there 2 stats you think you would roll together for something like this?
I'm thinking maybe perception something.
Perception isn't an attribute in Chronicle.
Oh, sorry. Shoot. Yeah, I don't know.
That's all right. It's a mistake I always make. But it is a common combination.
Maybe wits perception?
Wits and survival. would probably do it.
Not well, but I'll roll it. So, yeah. Got the online dice roll. Just take a second.
This is our first die roll of the game.
It's 2 successes.
2 successes, yes. She does feel very strange or very smelt. She does have an odd scent about her in that the first thing you notice with 2 successes is she doesn't really have one. That's what you pick up.
Like not just neutral, like there's nothing, like there's like a void of scent.
Exactly.
Basically. Okay.
But then with your second success you pick up something that is almost like it's coming through the shadow. There's something a bit confusing there. It's a mixture of buzzing ozone, like electric crackling, and sparks flying off of metal, like a welding odor. There's a fire there, an unnatural fire, and it's like something is being crafted with a very hot flame.
Okay, I lean in even closer and say, like all this bullshit aside, like, do we keep her on? What do we do?
Don't get so close, Thomas. I don't want to kiss. Follow her. That's what you do. You follow interesting prey. Remember, you're a hunter. I've got my drink. It's my night off. You follow her. You find out what she is. You find out what she's about. I've heard of things like her before that aren't strictly on the level. What you need to find out is whether something hard and automated like that is an Aslu hive waiting to burst. You understand? They like this kind of unnatural behavior.
Absolutely, yes.
So buy her a drink. You're good at that. Just don't spill it.
Right. Enjoy the billiards, enjoy the drinks. And, so if I turn back to Maya and say, you know what? Let's have another drink between the two of us.
Maya is very glad that Thomas has decided he doesn't want to be around mean people, so she is going to take him to the bar and they're going to go get a drink.
I'm buying the drinks because he's been raised properly, so yeah.
Maya would have absolutely no concept of that, but she likes not spending money, so that's absolutely fine with her. So,
yeah, it just I think he would default back to like his favorite water, just to kind of like wash just everything down with. And he kind of makes some comment about like, I know it's a bit odd, like pointing at the glass of water, but I find it, a bit too much like tonight in general, not just drinks, but yeah.
Why is it odd to drink water?
I mean, it's not, but I'd say it's odd to drink water at a bar. I don't know. Nobody's really ever asked that before. But
is it weird to drink water outside of a bar?
No, that's pretty much the natural thing to do.
So then why would it be any different inside of a bar?
I guess the majority
Maya feels like she might be making people uncomfortable, so she's kind of looking around and she's going to order a water too, because she has decided that is the normal thing to do. People drink water and she's going to drink water.
I'll just say it's healthier. It's a lot more purified than whatever they put in the drinks here anyway. So
the bartender rolls her eyes. Two waters.
Yes, please. And I hand her like more than I don't know, 10 glasses of water would be worth. I mean, like a fairly big tip, just to appease her, I guess.
Well, tipping culture isn't a massive thing in Denmark.
Oh, is it not? Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
No, but so that means she's very grateful
Okay.
for all the krona you just put on the bar. So
Sure. Yeah.
she says, "You don't, Thomas. You're in here every Friday. You don't need to put this much down. But you know what? I'm going to keep this by for you. So if you do ever want a real drink, you've got a bit of money on a tab."
All right, fair enough. But one for you, one for yourself.
Oh, thank you. I'll have a water. She rolls her eyes and I'm working, Thomas.
Right, so I turn back to Maya and do you come here often? I've never seen you around before.
Maya would kind of take a second to think about that. She knows that this is kind of what people do, but she knows that this is what people do when they're at bars to pick people up, from her observation. And she's very confused because, according to Thomas's friend, she is not his type. So she would just kind of stop and look at her water and look up at Thomas and very bluntly ask, "Are you hitting on me?"
No, absolutely not. You've seen my friend. I'm glad to be away from my friend, as it were. And this is the kind of place where people come to make new friends, even if it's not for that purpose.
So we are friends.
I'd like to be.
Okay, that's good enough for Maya. So she's content to just stand her with her new friend and drink her water like a normal person.
And I was just sort of like, as she's drinking or like doing whatever she's doing, like I'm not like obviously staring at her too, but I'm trying to watch her mannerisms to see if there's anything else off about her, basically.
From your basic study, without even having to make any kind of empathy roll, yes, there is definitely something off about her. You're not sure whether it is. Well, you can tell that she is pretty unacquainted with how to act in a social situation. But the truth of the matter is, you're not that comfortable in social situations. You don't have nearly as much of a, I guess, mental block. But there's more to her than just shyness. There's a mystery here. And one of the things that Kalia and your parents always told you is there are predators and there are prey. And every single person you grow close to, you need to find out whether they are someone who will prey on you or be prey for you. You can see why the Ivory Claws are such a functional family. I
mean, from Thomas' point of view, probably, considering what he's like learned about but anyway. I'll try to, I mean, he'll probably be kind of somewhat concerned about what she is, considering how he's sort of like picked up the scent, but he's trying to poker face his way to not seem as if he's noticed, basically. I don't know if that needs a roll or if it's just sort of, if you can do that without... are you from Denmark? Are you visiting? Are you a tourist?
Yes, I was manufactured I'm from the United States.
Oh, I've never actually been. I mean, any place whereabouts? Like, I've always wanted to visit.
I was kind of sheltered. I didn't get out much. I think it's much prettier here. The people are a lot nicer, most of them.
Yeah, but so just helicopter parenting, you like just bad family, like that kind of thing?
A lot of helicopters, yeah, lots of helicopters. Yeah, they were loud. Didn't like those helicopters.
Yeah, no, yeah, even me and my parents, difficult, to say the least. So are you going to stay here? Like, is that like a permanent move?
Maya would kind of look around the bar and, well, doesn't look very comfortable. And I can't really find any charging outlets handy, but it'll do if I have to stay here, I guess.
As Maya looks around the bar, she notices again, and hasn't lost complete track of her initial target. It looks like in the brief period between you moving away from her and her coming back, she's clearly been drinking heavily and steadily, to the point that she is convinced a bartender that giving her the entire bottle would be a good idea. The interesting thing is the bottle is full, but she's still ordering shots of something else. So one hand is on a bottle of Bacardi. It's just on the bar. She's leaning on it. And she's slamming back vodkas. Even with your limited understanding of alcohol, drinking vodka straight is never pleasant, and certainly never a good idea for one's health. But she's doing this on a mission. You can tell she wants to lose all sense and sensation. You don't do this, unless you're trying to build up the confidence to do something. But even Thomas can see this now, seeing where you're looking, that someone drinking this much, well, there's a word for that, and it's suicidal. Now, before we get back to the two of you, we're going to go back to our changeling friend Connor. Now, I'm going to make an assumption here, sure, and that is that shortly Liza will arrive at the Spring Courts bar. Mm-hmm. But Connor is going to get the opportunity to discuss with Takami and do whatever he sees fit first. You don't have to meet there. It would just be a nice convergence point if you decide to.
No, that makes sense. As much as my plan would be to eventually move on, I certainly wouldn't try to talk to Takami in a place that is actually bumping.
Well,
a location.
this place is definitely not that.
Exactly. So I do want to talk to Takami about the Winter Court in general, but my biggest questions are, one, why did, who is he? Because it's kind of, you should always ask someone who they are. So, who are you? What has brought you here? But what makes you you? You're a unique person. Why have you come here, and who are you?
Takami is a very reserved man, and old in appearance, wizened, but with it quite verbose. So when you reach the end of what you are asking him, mm-hmm, he rattles on at length before letting you get a word in edgeways. I come from a long line. I come from a large court. This is not my court in Odense. I was sent here because of troubling reports. You see, while I am, of course, Japanese in heritage, I am not Japanese in background. I come from the court in Copenhagen, and I came to Odense to look for fellows in the Winter Court. Usually contacting each other would be a simple affair, but recently contact has died out. I often travel around between courts, you see. While Copenhagen has been my court of choice for the last year, I have moved around from Copenhagen. I've moved to Stockholm, Berlin. He then reels off another 12 locations. I never like to stay in one place for a long time. Sometimes it is because, as we all are, I have been hunted from one place to the other, and while never pleasant, it is useful and delightful to always see a different location, absorb the culture, absorb the fruits of labors and loves, and move on before they grow too old and atrophy. And I believe that winter, the best way to experience winter, is to experience it at its zenith, when it reaches that wonderful crystalline point where everything is possible, where the end of the world is beneath one's feet, and we can ascend to something greater, or we could tumble into nothingness. And every time I like to think that I've ascended to something greater. I have never joined a spring court, I should hasten to add, but that is because I am dearly devoted to winter. I take great pleasure, and he goes on and on about the philosophy of what it is to be winter, what it is to be wizened, what it is to serve in courts from city to city. And by the time he finishes, you do wonder whether he has moved on of his own volition, or whether people just kick him out because he won't shut up.
That does not particularly surprise me, having heard all of that. But of course, I'm going to be congenial and proper. There's no reason to start a fight here, and I'm just going to, widen my eyes a little and just go. You have led a incredibly interesting life. So many locations, so many courts to see. That's maybe that's something to aspire to. There is something to be said for settling roots in, but there is a lot out there. You make a good point, and it sounds like you've learned so much from your times and have seen so much. That's that does sound like a tremendous way to live. You did say that the winter court here had reported some sort of problem or issue, and that was why they sent you to check up on things, right?
Once again, he takes a long time to get to the point. I remember the first time that I embarked upon an exodus. It was when I first emerged from the hedge. Yes, you're starting to see exactly why Jeffrey left you in his company.
Yep.
Oh, that Jeffrey. I remember the first time was when I found my family, and of course I had been replaced, as we often are, by a fetch that perfectly resembled me, but possessed none of the verbosity that I enjoy. And so my parents enjoyed his company immeasurably, and I felt betrayed. Should I remove the fetch? Should I reveal myself to them? No, I decided that would be a bad idea. I decided I would leave them with their happy delusion and move on to another location. I would constantly travel, and this goes on. But yes, getting to the point of Odense, a strange mystery, and I do enjoy a mystery. Have you ever played Sudoku? Sudoku is quite the mental stimulant, I find, especially on train journeys, and he goes on. But yes, Odense and the Winter Court. Now, I do not expect one such as yourself, always full of hope and vim in the Spring Court, to truly know what it is to be winter, but one expects that while winter is a cold and sometimes hostile season, that there is always a hearth to warm the changelings of winter, that when gathered together we share tales, we sit around the fire, and we find companionship with each other. And there is none of that here. That ceased to be by reports 3 months ago. The Winter Court suddenly closed its doors, that anyone looking for refuge in Odense would no longer find it in winter. And you need to understand, young Connor, that In countries such as these, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, or what other Northern Hemisphere countries should I list? But I won't. Winter is of preeminent importance, as it ties to the mortal culture as well. And when a city loses the hearth of winter, it just becomes unrepentantly bitter. And if you are a changeling of the Winter Court, and you no longer have the hearth, you lose all hope. You wither, and you die. At least that is what I was told by some of my contemporaries in Copenhagen. And so we needed to find out exactly what had gone wrong with Winter and Odense. And of course I arrived here, and the person I was supposed to meet, only about 2 hours away by train, was not here. We had only spoken earlier that date, and at first, you must understand, I have had many an occasion where I have announced my arrival in a city, and for whatever reason, no one has been there to meet me. Sometimes I find they have quickly packed a bag and headed somewhere else at short notice due to a family emergency, or embarking on a sudden holiday that they won without knowing they entered the competition to win it. But in this occasion, it felt more unusual, like something had happened. And so my first recourse was to approach the changelings of other courts, because I am a friendly man. I like to get to know my fellow lost and exactly what exactly it is that they have to offer each other. I have never found that a court has disliked me, and no one has ever placed a pledge on my name for my destruction. And he goes on and on. My point was that I spoke to the members of the Autumn Court here in Odense, and needless to say, they knew nothing of Winter. They had connections, of course, which appear to have died out in the last couple of months, and they couldn't find a single Winter courtier for me. They used all the resources at their disposal. They seemed quite keen to move me on, but they couldn't find a single Winter courtier, and so I was quite disturbed. So I came here. They said, there is nothing else we can do to help. Bother Spring. And so here I came to bother Spring, as they put it, and Lady Goldacre was too busy to see me, so I spoke to my good friend Geoffrey, and here I am now. He reported something similar to Autumn, but we of Winter are good at hiding. Sometimes snowflakes are so small as to be difficult to find.
Yes.
Maybe you know of some of Winter's hiding places in Odense, because I searched the park, I searched all the common venues, and nothing there. But I hoped that at least someone from Spring, given that Winter has to hand over to Spring at some point, would know where to find some of my friends and family. Still, I have said my piece. I see you are holding your back as if you have been stood there for too long.
No, it's what you say, as you know, is worrisome. That is not a typical response. And while I do not know the Winter well here, I have enjoyed their presence, and I worry for, my fellow lost. Yes, as you say, Winters are good at hiding, and one of the things that they do not tend to share is the where of that. That being said, I can certainly think about some of the places they might go. Could they not also have simply left?
But where would they go? Copenhagen is the nearest.
That's true. They would
bastion
go
of
to
our
Copenhagen.
Even Stockholm, if they were feeling adventurous. Winter are not dominant in Stockholm, but we would know if they were there. And there were at least 6 changelings in Odense of the Winter Court at last count. I have not been able to find a single one.
Yes, that's way too many to have just all gone underground or all decided to take a holiday at the same time.
Well, stranger still, rumor was, and at least this was the case in Copenhagen, after our last grand battle with the gentry, the hunting horn had not been heard for many years, and that Denmark was a safe place for winter and those who would hide under its banner. We would have heard the horn if it had been blown again and there was a huntsman abroad attempting to find us. We would have heard it. Copenhagen is not that far. We would have been affected by it. There is something more insidious going on, I suspect, but I do not know what. It's around this point, by the way, that our friend Liza should arrive.
Okay. I will continue the conversation, but in the direction of agreeing that I don't think that the huntsman would make sense, because the other courts would have also known or been gone to for help or been a part of that fight, and nothing of that sort has occurred here in my knowledge, correct?
No, indeed. While there's often bizarre activity with things leaking through the hedge, snatching changelings back, attacking them, and the like, there hasn't been a huntsman rampaging through Odense in many years.
Okay. So I will continue the conversation along that vein while we see what Liza has to do, I imagine.
Yeah, as Liza enters, a thickly built woman cuts her off. This would be Jenny, the ogre. Not seen you in here before.
Nope, just new in town, actually. Noticing that I see similar traits with her, with the family resemblance that I would have with others. Quickly make that connection. I was referred here by a rather chilly woman from the library. Had mentioned that spring was the place to be in Odense right now, so I figured I'd come check the place out.
Well, I'm something of a scout. I can see people like you coming, so I knew you were coming here. Yeah, we've got another one of those chilly twats over there, talking to my good friend Connor. Are you hoping to take him away? Because I've got to be honest, this place is usually pretty dead, and right now it's filled with the sound of his voice, and I preferred it when it was dead.
That's weird though, because I thought they were all of the winter courtiers were leaving.
I've nothing to do with that story, I'm afraid. I'm just here to make sure no one is coming to harass Lady Goldacre.
Oh no, I know she's very particular. 100% will not be a problem. I do want to talk to the gentleman. Maybe at the end of the day he will end up getting out of your hair.
Jenny is looking you up and down. You are made of fascinating tales, aren't you?
Oh, so nice of you to notice.
Do you know Hans Christian Andersen? You know, the ugly duckling was from around here? I imagine you are full of fairy tales.
And Liza, being rather familiar with those works, would offer a simple smile and be like, I definitely have some stories I'd be happy to tell.
I've got a story for you.
Right, audience.
Before we part ways, here's a story for you. Wordy lady. Hans Christian Andersen didn't write any of his stories. I'll tell you who wrote all of his stories. He had a pygmy in a cage, suspended a few feet above the ground, made the pygmy write all of those stories. The pygmy was stolen from the Belgian Congo, kidnapped. And when the pygmy tried to escape, Hans Christian Andersen cut the pygmy's foot off, turned it into an umbrella rack. All those stories, The Ugly Duckling, The Little Mermaid, all those written by a Congolese pygmy.
So with Mimir's wisdom, Liza can tell if people are lying to her. Is this a true story?
As far as Jenny's concerned, yeah, absolutely.
That is fascinating. That would be Liza's response.
But you didn't know that before you came to our court.
Definitely did not. That is a very fascinating secret. How widely is that known, actually?
Well, not widely at all, but I can see that you're a lady of words, and I can appreciate that. Just because I'm an ogre doesn't mean I'm not well read.
Huh. You know, we should talk more about this. I'm actually following up on a friend who has gone missing, but I would love to pick your brain about any more of these interesting stories.
Oh, well, if you think Hans Christian Andersen is weird, if you think that's weird, you should find out what those little marks in the margins of his diaries are denoting. I'm not going to tell you yet. You can look it up for yourself, because he was a strange cat, that's for sure. Anyway, I need to let you go before our wizened friend whizzes off. I'm going to let Lady Goldacre know you're here, because it would be impolite not to. She probably already knew, but...
Liza would nod and thank her for her time and be like,
sorry, what's your name?
Elizabeth, you can call me Liza.
Well, my name's Jenny.
Very nice to meet you.
It is nice to meet you. Always nice to meet new friends from new backgrounds with new stories to tell.
With that, I'm assuming that Liza can also kind of sense the mantle coming off of the wizened that she had pointed out to confirm for herself that is a fellow winter courtier, just like the one she'd met before.
Yeah, and you can see that the young man that she's talking to shares the same mantle. Is of the Spring Court as Jenny is. Okay. They have more of a air of freshness about them rather than frigidity.
So Liza would approach the table where the two of them are, or approach where the two of them are, and she's not the most socially adept person in the world, so she just kind of butt in a little bit and address the winter court. She'd be like, I thought all of you were supposed to be gone.
Jenny calls over, she's all right, and then she goes over to Lady Goldacre. The wizened changeling looks at Liza. I'm sorry, who are you?
Oh, Elizabeth. I actually just spoke to, I guess, probably one of your friends. I don't know how many of you there are in this city still. She actually sent me here because she was on her way out.
What? He's getting up, sitting down. What? No, stop. Mrs. What?
I was in the library. I didn't get her name, but she was writing letters to a lot of people, and she's very doom and gloom. Something about leaving the city being a good idea, and that winter was never returning. They're closing the door.
No. That's not good. That's not good. Oh. And where did you meet this? Meet my fellow courtier?
Oh, the library. She's gone now, though. She was.
Did she say where she was going?
No. But the general vibe that I got was probably as far away from here as possible.
Oh, God. Drat.
What was that about the winter not? Could you go back to that part?
Oh, I mean, first, obviously, I'm not very familiar with your people, but she was the terminology, I believe, that winter would not be returning. And I actually don't remember the exact words, but Liza does have eidetic memory, so she would recount that interaction that had occurred to both of them, openly sharing her knowledge, hoping that this inspires them to share any that they have.
The wizard is shaking his head quite frantically. No. Has to be at least one winter lost here. Yes, there has to be. Oh, no, that's me, isn't it? That's going to be me now.
Takami, actually, I'll ask this. Do I know of any reason why there has to be someone from every court in a town?
No. Certainly you've heard of the practice. It's fairly common, in fact. It's unusual for them to not be. But you haven't ever heard of there being some kind of...
supernatural reason?
No, it's not like reality will suddenly start breaking down. As far as you know.
Right, yeah, no, so that's the... Takami, what is the issue with you being the only winter here?
Well, I'm not strong enough. I'm a wanderer. I'm not a fighter. I'm a storyteller. I'm not a soothsayer. I've been to many places, but I'm never the person that has to hold the fort or hold the court or take up the mantle of lord or anything like that. No. That's not me. That's not me. If winter leaves Odin's, oh no. There's a winter plague that passes through, and I can't be the one responsible for curing it. The library, you say?
Yeah. Just came from there, but she is very gone, I think.
I need to speak to Lady Goldacre. I'm sorry, my friends. He marches straight over to Lady Goldacre. Lady Goldacre, I need to speak to you right now. I need to speak to you right now. And Lady Goldacre flings one of her cards at him. And he freezes in place. She looks to the rest of the spring court. Much like an icicle. Let's see if he melts after a fashion.
Does she look to be going right back to her cards, or is she continuing to address us?
She's chortling to herself, but might go back to her cards soon.
I will test the waters and see if, because I am a member of the court, I know things are only slightly different. I will test the waters and see if she seems to be in a sharing mood as she is entertained, or if she seems to be in the no, you should still be leaving me alone.
Connor, you want my attention.
I had a question, if you would be so kind.
Only if you can answer two of mine. But I will pose one of them to your colourful friend.
Which friend has been pointed at?
The newly arrived Elizabeth.
Okay, yeah. I'll kind of look over my shoulder and call Elizabeth over.
Liza would approach, seeing this as a potential in to do the whole do not approach her.
Yes. Absolutely. And say, the lady has a question for you, if you'd be so kind.
Of course. Anything I can answer.
What is the richest, and I do not mean most flavoursome, but richest one that sat on your tongue and stomach for a little too long meal that you have ever had?
As we would think back, that is a very interesting question.
And I think you know what I'm asking.
Yeah.
We in spring love new experience.
No.
Tick tock, tick tock. Cards won't play with themselves.
Well, they might.
So, Liza, not generally being in the business of sharing, but really, really good secrets, would have to take a few moments to consider not only, what the answer would be, but whether she really wants to share that information. But would eventually decide to share a particular instance in which she had discovered that for lack of a better word, demonic infestation back in the Americas had actually been orchestrated by a group of would-be amateur hunters trying to call on powers they didn't quite understand in order to pursue a relatively minor threat in their town. A vampire, as it were. And she would recall that the only way she was able to find that particular thing out was plumbing the echoes in a dream left behind by one of the deceased hunters after the demons had killed them. And rather destroyed the morale of all of their families when they found out that they were responsible for it.
That is sumptuous. However, I feel it may just be an entree. Still, I appreciate your candor. I appreciate the tale. We do love a good story here. And tell me, do the demons... What do they think of you now?
Oh, I try to avoid them.
Probably wise, probably wise. There's a few of them in this little town of ours. But I can keep a secret if you can. Now, Connor, I've asked you so many questions over the years. You must be thinking by now that there's nothing left to share with Lady Spring.
I think I've learned that that will never be true.
It will never ever be true. And so I'm going to ask you something very recent.
Yes.
Whilst you were listening to our dear Icicle here prattle on about his many travels, deep in your heart, what did you want to do to him?
Deepest in my heart, I'm pretty certain I simply wanted to beat him until he stopped being able to speak. That could have just been a broken jaw. I don't feel like I needed to detach his head. But oh yes, there was rage. Now I would not let that out, but that he is one of the most insufferable people I have met in many years. And so yes, I was definitely fantasizing about just popping him in the mouth. But yeah.
Delightful. Delightful.
Liza kind of glances over like, admirable honesty.
You learn to be honest when you're dealing with someone who knows if you're not.
Do you want a free hit now while he's frozen?
No.
Would it not carry the same satisfaction?
It would not carry the same satisfaction, and the question that I have might render him more needed.
Well, I have tripped over my own curiosity. I've not just asked 2 questions, I've asked 4 questions. Asked 2 of each of you, and you answered because you were both so very generous. However, my offer still stands. 1 question. What is it that the 2 of you lovely creatures want to ask of me before I am drawn back into my game of cards?
I'm going to stop because now I have a second person that is also a part of this question. And I turn, and I be very carefully not to phrase this as the question. I will say, I was planning on inquiring about the needs of winter in this town and what occurs if there are none here in reference to this winter plague or famine. What is the question that you needed answered in case I am about to step on your feet there, Liza?
That's certainly a reasonable question. I might inquire about the whereabouts of a former acquaintance of mine that may have gotten caught up in this whole winter exodus away from the town.
Well, we can look into that separately.
Yeah, that seems less pressing. I'll be honest with you.
Yes, we can talk about that afterwards. Okay, lady. I would like to inquire both. My lady. Yes, very much my lady. Does this town have a winter plague that requires winter to be here to defend against it? What happens if there are no members of winter here, as I have found out that our friend Takami here is the only winter left in our little town?
Oh, it's oh so hyperbolic, my dear boy. Oh, so hyperbolic. You see, winter has got an overinflated sense of its own self-importance. Because the last time there was a little plague problem here, it was winter's responsibility for solving the issue. And the reason it was winter's responsibility is because widely we thought they had caused it. You see, the people in this city are prone to self-destruction. Happens every now and then. I couldn't tell you exactly why. It's certainly not my concern. It's never really concerned those of spring. But that kind of behavior is so winter. And so it is Winter's responsibility to stop it before it gets too far, and one, maybe two, maybe three times they've done so. And the repercussions of it happening and them not being here to stop it, I expect our good friend the Icicle feels that it's going to look badly upon the Winter Court if they're not here to stop it. But I'm confident that someone else could fill that breach if Winter is incapable. Maybe they can't stop it because they are already infected with this plague. I think what you need to do is find some other people who are similarly affected. Winter got the preliminary warning. They knew when to get out. Maybe find some other people who are suitably scared, who feel this is a true danger to them, because it's not a danger to me. I don't think it's a danger to you or to your friend, but it's going to be a danger to some people. And I think all of us would like some answers. Follow the trail of self-destruction.
That makes sense, my lady. I will see if I can find people to pull together. Yes. No, that makes sense.
The cards are never wrong, dear boy, and I think you will be hearing of one of these self-destructive moments very soon.
Well, such as the cards say.
Stay close to your friend.
Yes, my lady.
Your stories, when you come back here, will be far more interesting for her company.
I do certainly enjoy having good stories. You know that.
Don't we all? Look at my statue, my icicle.
How long does he stay like that? That's kind of fascinating, actually.
I mean, my lady, he is still alive, correct?
Yes. But I have done enough answering of your questions and your friends' questions. I would appreciate you both finding something else to do with your time.
So Liza would immediately turn around and take several steps away to not be turned into an icicle.
I will give her a traditional, whatever it is I feel like she expects from a head nod or I don't know. Yeah, she's pretty old. She might be a full bow person, but the correct goodbye to the lady.
Yeah, it never hurts to be completely formal with the lady of a court.
Exactly. So I will give her the proper goodbye bow and say by your leave, my lady, and walk off to chat with my new friend, as it were.
Well, before we do, because we're soon going to be wrapping up this session.
Yes.
We're going to be going back to the other club, where something dramatic is about to occur. Maya's source of fascination for Thomas got in the way and tangled things up. Will probably vex her for a very long time now. She will question herself whether she could have stopped this if she'd just paid more attention. If she hadn't been distracted by this wiry man with beer stains down his shirt from where he spilt his drinks earlier. if she hadn't succumbed to sympathy and trying to get involved in two friends apparently bickering. Because what she sees, she can't explain, and for that matter, Thomas can't either. As I say, both of their attentions were drawn to the young woman at the bar, who until now had been filled with rage, real consuming anger. Neither of you knew the reason. But suddenly, she's smashing the neck of the bottle of Bacardi. People back away. It's what you do when you see someone smashing a bottle at a bar. You wonder if someone's about to be glassed, someone's about to be attacked. But what she does is suddenly upturn this bottle over her head, and there's a torrent of rum that rolls down through her hair, over her face. It seems almost refreshing to her. She closes her eyes, she breathes through it. And it's all done with one hand. It's what happens with her left hand that you take too long to notice. As with her left hand, quite deliberately, quite swiftly, she has a cigarette lighter. And she just flicks it open. She strikes it. And that much pure alcohol running over her means she goes up like a Roman candle. Even to something as inhuman and automated as Maya, it's impossible not to stand back in shock. Maybe it's a new emotion she never even knew she had. Even something as ferocious and bestial as Thomas is capable of being, even with Thomas having encountered fire-touched pure before now, this behavior it's terrifying